Hello and welcome to the weekly Glenn Powell podcast. My name is Jeremy. I'm just kidding. We're not
And
the
I'm
Glenn Powell
and I'm Glenn
podcast.
Powell.
Oh, Glenn Powell's here.
I'm
Oh,
just
shoot.
kidding. My name is Ken.
Well, guys, just kicking it straight off because we are in part two of our Glenn Powell season. Season 7 is now officially the season of Glenn Powell as we watch Hitman, where he, plays a hitman.
Yeah,
Not to give anything away.
yeah, exactly. We don't want to give any spoilers yet because we haven't given that spoiler warning. But for those of you who are fans of the podcast, I think last week when we were in our Soup du Jour episode, we were talking about how Glenn Powell. We wanted to kind of reel it into the Glenn Powell season that Jeremy talked about. I'm wearing my Batman shirt in honor of Glenn Powell because he wants to play Batman.
That would be a very interesting Batman. I have to say, very Texan Batman. Hey, but we usually see Batman with like the black hair, kind of pale, but we gotta mix it up once in a while. Maybe we'll get a kind of brownish, blondish hair Batman. We had Val Kilmer, so
Yeah, exactly. We had a a what do you call it? A variant of the Iceman with with Hangman.
that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't be mad at it. Glenn Powell can
Uh,
do anything at this point.
and you know what? We would cover that movie regardless.
Yeah, make it happen, James Gunn.
Oh shoot.
Well, before we do that, sorry guys if we're a little late to the party tonight. We are recording this at night, but if you're just listening to it at any point in time, then I guess it doesn't really matter. But if you're here to catch the live stream, which we just started this season, the season of Glenn Powell, we just started live streaming. So, hello, right, Ken?
Yes, hello. Hello from the season of Glenn Powell. We are on YouTube right now. We plan on being on YouTube, obviously, through the end of this season. That includes next week. Obviously, we'll touch on next week's movie later on. We still got to talk about this week's movie. But yes, if you are joining the live stream and want to join in on the Hitman conversation, we are online right now, obviously. And if you are one of those that don't really want to be spoiled and you haven't seen it yet on Netflix, if you haven't seen Hitman yet and you want to join us for the Soup du Jour, which is part 2 of this live stream, feel free to do so. This first part should probably end in about 45 minutes, something like that. So time it appropriately. We understand people have weirdness when it comes to like spoilers. I am one of those people, by the way.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I don't want to get spoiled, so I'm also giving you your official spoiler warning for Hitman. It's on Netflix right now. Not sponsored by Netflix. Hopefully sponsored by Glenn Powell at some point. I'm just gonna keep making that joke while we have it.
Hey, for the next for the next couple of parts, I'm telling you, the rest of today, it is the Glenn Powell Show.
It is the Glenn Powell Show, and speaking of Glenn Powell plays Gary Johnson, a mild-mannered professor who teaches psychology, I believe. But part-time, he actually moonlights as a hitman for the New Orleans Police Department to catch people who are trying to hire a hitman. But according to Gary Johnson, hitmen are not real. So, Ken, let's jump straight into the double feature for Hitman. My first question for you. You knew this was coming. All the Hitman personalities in this movie. I'm not going to ask you I could ask you which one your favorite one is, and I'd love to know that. But I'd love to know which one you wish they expanded more on. Because we have Ron, who is kind of like the alpha male. We have the black leather Russian messy hair, kind of weird teeth version. You had the kind of hillbilly kind of
Hmm.
redneck guy, whatever. So there's different variations of Gary Johnson. What do you think? Which one do you think you would want to expand upon if
It's
you had
so
the
funny.
chance?
The one that is my favorite is actually the one I want to expand on, and the one that that I wanted to share and suggest is the one that is basically like Timu Matthew McConaughey or Matthew
Really?
McConaughey.
Oh,
He's
I see
the
what you
the
mean.
hillbilly looking
Yeah,
or sounding guy. I don't know if you caught it, but he kind of sounded like Matthew McConaughey during that whole scene, and I
yeah.
was waiting for a all right, all right, all right.
I wish he did it. I wish he did it.
He was almost there, and I don't know. I liked it. I feel like just because you're in the Bayou, in New Orleans area, he tailored that accent. I felt like it was perfect. It actually brought me back to season one of True Detective. Obviously, totally not as serious as True Detective, but for those of you who don't know, Matthew McConaughey plays a detective in season one of True Detective, but it was set in New Orleans. So in my own head canon, whatever that weird variant of Matthew McConaughey is actually related in a parallel multiverse of True Detective. So yes, Hitman is in that same multiverse.
I mean, Glenn Powell is almost like a variant of Matthew McConaughey. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
But man, that is a good one.
If you think
Uh
about it, and just strictly talking about the actors, Matthew McConaughey gained his notoriety for being like the rom com guy. I
yeah.
feel like Glenn Powell's following in the footsteps, bro.
That's what I'm saying. You got anyone but you that, and we talked about how to lose a
A
guy,
guy,
man.
yeah. How to
How
lose
to
a guy
lose a
in
guy
10
in 10
days.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's not impossible. He might be in the next Interstellar at this point.
I mean, it's not like he wasn't in the Nolan verse.
That's what I'm saying. Glenn Powell needs to become the new Killian Murphy at this point
Yeah, exactly.
for Christopher Nolan. To answer my own question, I would like. Okay, my favorite is opposite to the one that I would want to see more expand upon. My favorite is just because I like this movie, but the American Psycho one, the Patrick
Oh,
Bateman impersonation, pretty much.
yeah.
That was the one that was my favorite, just because I didn't expect him to go full Patrick Bateman,
Ooh, yeah, he did.
because he had the cadence down. He had like the slick back hair and the
Hair, yeah.
and the Wall Street kind of shirt and
He looked good.
collar. Yeah, I was like, well, you had me convinced he could play Batman.
There you
Right
go.
there,
See,
it's all connected.
it's very connected. He plays basically a variant of Christian Bale's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah, right there. And then that convinced people he could be Bruce Wayne. There you go.
Yes.
But the one I would want to see expanded upon, I don't know if this persona had a name, but the one that, because I watched some interviews of Glenn Powell talking about this character also, it's the one when I think he was talking when this older, actually, I don't remember now at this point. I'm getting mixed up. The one where he has orange hair, kind of
Yeah, I
like
remember that
weird
one.
skin and weird teeth.
Yeah, yeah. That one.
And I was like, holy crap, like, one, this Gary Johnson needs like a whole Hollywood makeup team to pull that off, to make Glenn Powell look like that. But what was funny is Glenn Powell said that it was, people described it as Tilda Swinton meets, if she played a Weasley in the Harry Potter universe. I was like, dang, that's pretty accurate.
I couldn't have described it better. That was so good.
I'm
Yeah.
like, but it just makes you question if that person was like a real hitman, or if that persona, if Gary had to play that hitman for the majority of the movie rather than Ron, what would that person be like? I would imagine, I don't know, he that person just looks like they stink. I don't know.
I think he
Like,
would just be really eccentric and kind of psycho.
right, like I don't know how like he came up and profiled all these people that he was trying to catch. And that was another ethical thing. I was wondering, I'm like, yeah, how ethical is it to
Yeah.
fake hire and then put them in jail for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, because
It's
that was one of the things in the movie.
yeah, that yeah, they did touch on it like when they would cut to the courtroom scenes, right?
Yeah,
So I'm glad they addressed it. I'm sure it was probably talked about in pre-production and everything, especially if they would consult maybe law enforcement or just someone familiar with the law.
right. Especially since it's inspired by a true story.
Right, right.
But I just wonder how would that hitman kill them?
Yeah,
Looks
I'm
like it.
curious. Yeah, I'm curious how you what his weapon of choice would be, or what his signature killing method would be.
Yeah, that version looks like a poison person to me. You know, I don't think they would like want to get their hands dirty. Almost be like an OCD type of hitman,
Yeah,
very like clean, germophobic maybe, even though
yeah.
they're like stinky. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this, since we're
Okay.
talking about alter egos. This is not my question, by the way. Which killing method do you think would there be for each of the characters? Like, say for example, the American Psycho guy, variant guy in the suit.
Well,
How do you think his? Do you think he'll be killing similarly?
I think he would be. Yeah, he would
Okay.
definitely. I think he would have fun with his victims a little bit.
Okay.
He would. They would picture Paul Allen, Jared Leto,
Okay. Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
maybe use an axe. You know,
There you
but
go. How about how about the
uh,
hillbilly guy, Matthew McConaughey, Timu Matthew McConaughey?
shoot, that's a good question. How would they? Oh, probably
Just shotgun maybe? Just
shotgun him, but then store him in the back of like a real run down like pickup,
mm,
and maybe like push it into a river. You know,
mm.
they
I'm
wouldn't
kind
burn the truck though. They would put it into the river.
okay. I'm picturing. I know you haven't watched Kill Bill Volume 2, but I'm
Mhm.
picturing Michael Madsen's character because he's kind of a hillbilly or whatever. Obviously, he was one of the assassins, so I'm kind of picturing a little bit like that. Maybe just a little bit more hillbilly-ish.
Okay. Yeah, that works.
Russian Hitman,
All
probably
right.
the easiest one. Just maybe a regular silencer.
Yeah, yeah. Because wearing the leather gloves.
Uh
What
huh.
else is new?
Yeah.
Yeah, regular silencer. Either that
Oh,
or like a sledgehammer. Seems like
oh,
a
true.
kind of a burly Russian guy he was playing.
Yeah. Then we talked about the red hair guy. How about Ron?
Oh, Ron. Oh, Ron. I was thinking Ron Weasley.
No, no, no.
um, Ron. Oh
Yeah,
man.
because I mean, obviously we spent the most time with him,
Right.
but we never really got to know like what his killing method would be.
Shoot. I mean, he kind of made it up in the the first time he went in, right? He kind of developed that Ron personality in
Yeah,
terms of I think he would be the guy that would be fairly smart. Maybe strangulation,
yeah.
like
I think that would be it.
something hidden, something
Yeah.
more subtle, and then like chop him up and throw him to the gators and all that stuff.
Mhm. Was there any more? I know. Remember, there was like the long-haired guy with the beard. Kind of looked
Yeah.
like man. He kind of looked like he belonged on the Bee Gees or something like that.
Shoot, let me see real quick this picture of the hitman.
And then there was the remember even did it. Oh no, that was the same one. Remember when he was like coloring his teeth also?
Oh, right, right.
Like he had a grill. I think that was the same one.
I
Beanie
was
with
gonna,
long hair and the beard.
yeah, I was gonna say, well, how would Gary Johnson kill
Oh, like
somebody?
Gary Johnson wouldn't be able to kill anyone.
Well, Well, I think the ending of this movie would beg to differ.
Yeah, that wasn't really his kill.
It was Ron. Oh, that's true, huh? Kind of
I
just finished him
dude,
off.
that was yeah. He just was smart after, but yeah, I don't think he just the fact that he got scared off when Madison was talking about killing or whatever. He's like, I'm not, I'm Gary. Who in the hell is Gary?
That was hella funny, dude. I was like, he was the way that Glenn Powell played that. He was like all alpha male, like, oh yeah,
Was so
I'm
good.
Ron, and then like his voice went up a whole octave.
Even his mannerisms
Yeah,
became very beta.
yeah. He started hiding, kind of like what? Yeah, that perfectly like his physical acting in this was really good.
Very good, very good. He switched on a dime sometimes for sure. There wasn't any more, right? That was
I think those were the main ones, at
main ones,
least.
right? Yeah. All right. Well, for my half of the double feature, I figured you were gonna ask something similar to that, which is why I actually had notes on it,
Hmm.
with a few of them anyway, a few of the alter egos. Um, for my half of the double feature, in your own head canon, only because remember, I guess they prefaced it right, the movie that is based off of Gary Johnson's life,
Hmm.
but it's based on it. I read that they were going to, kind of do a movie on his life, but then they took creative liberties. And one of those creative liberties is that whole plot to that they ended up killing the husband
Jasper. Oh
and
yeah,
Jasper, and they got
that's right.
away with it. Um, and they lived happily ever after. That's all fiction.
Yeah.
So in your own head canon, because again, this is fiction now, this part of it
Okay.
is fiction. In your own head canon, and you can maybe have it so you know how like some movies end with like text and then they'll give you an update of what happened to the characters. So
Yeah.
you could choose that route, or if you want to pitch a sequel, how do you envision Gary and Madison's life moving forward?
Okay. Because they actually did have like that ending sequence where it's like, oh, this was based on what's his Gary Johnson,
Mm-hmm.
except for the part where he didn't kill anybody.
Yes,
All
yes,
right.
yes.
In my own head canon, I think wouldn't it just be depressing if they just got divorced like 2 years later, after their kid, um, because we got that whole like epilogue at the end.
Yeah.
Um, if I were to pitch a sequel, because I feel like I think they're just gonna lay low in terms of like whatever they're doing, but if they were to kind of be thrust back into like a Hitman 2, I want to say there would be like a huge like actual organized crime um organization where they actually tried to hire uh like a Ron, a whatever hitman, or they tried to multiple hitmen,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
but then obviously they're all the same person, but they actually tried hiring different ones, but it was like different people of that organized crime, and then they actually Gary has to come back and fake hitman all of them again for like a organized crime thing. I think that would be pretty crazy because it's like imagine it's like, oh, Ron has to like get Ron in here. It's like make sure that Ron's here, but also make sure that uh the Harry Potter the Weasley one is here. It's like, oh shoot, then Gary has to figure out like how am I going to be basically two people at the same time type of thing.
Right, right.
I think
Oh,
that's what I
interesting.
would want to happen.
Hmm. Okay, okay. That sounds interesting. So you would do a full on sequel,
I
like?
would do a full on sequel, just fictionalized.
Oh man, that'd be fun. Actually, like, what kind of tone do you think you would like kind of have, like in terms of a similar tone? Would it be or more serious?
I
Um.
I would go pretty similar tone, and
Yeah,
you can have the
some
character
silliness.
of Madison come back and
Uh,
actually try to also like play other characters too.
yeah,
Like you
because I
double down buddy cop kind of thing.
yeah, yeah. Okay, mine is my ideas are kind of similar to that in that I feel like, obviously you catch up like in a sequel, catch up with them. They're living happily ever after, but I feel like the New Orleans Police Department finds something like a loose end based off of what the events of this first hitman, and now they're kind of on the run.
Hmm.
They kind of do like maybe a little bit of like a chasing, but they get away. They maybe go to a different country. Now I'm channeling my inner born supremacy where they're kind of hiding out a little bit
Yeah.
in a different country. And then during that time, they're obviously trying to move from place to place. Um, they will, you get a little bit, you could do a little bit more of the sillier part where they're going to be dressing up, trying to play a little bit of a Bonnie and Clyde, Mr. and Mrs. Smith type thing
Mm.
now.
Yep.
And then they're going to be able to kind of con their way into doing something similar for like a completely different country, trying to capture people or whatever. And then during this time, I feel like while they're in hiding too, they're actually legit training also. So they
Ah.
can do some straight up actual hitman stuff eventually by the end of the film.
I think that would be pretty cool too. Because I
Yeah.
did like when I first heard about this movie, I was like, "Oh, Glenn Powell and like a little bit of action movie. That would be kind of cool." But
Yeah.
obviously, it's not
Definitely
an
wasn't.
action movie. Yeah, so it'd be kind of nice to have a little bit of more action.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would still have, again, similar to what you're talking about, this a similar tone, because I feel like that was one of its strengths of this movie. Um, it made the characters more likable, especially Ron and Gary and all the other
Yeah,
ones.
the one that
So
looked
good.
like Glenn Powell.
Yeah, I would be curious about like what kind of other costumes they can pull off in a potential sequel, especially since it is quote unquote number one on Netflix right now.
Yeah, it's like every movie that comes out on Netflix, it seems like it gets on number one.
Even
Sometimes
Atlas.
justified. Yeah, even Atlas. Like they, I don't know how they come up with that stuff. Sometimes justified, sometimes not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like if it's a Netflix labeled Netflix movie, Netflix original, like an Atlas, then it'll definitely end up at number one. But
Because of
is it
every
really?
because they like force it on people.
Right.
I feel like they count like when you watch something and then they force like a Netflix like trailer on upon you if you're not really on the remote right away, then I feel like that counts as like a stream
Yeah.
in their world.
Wow, you're hovering over it, right? And then it just automatically plays. It's like,
Oh
oh, we
no, we
got
got
you.
we got oh, we got a full minute. Got to round up to a minute. Damn
Shoot.
it.
That's all the views of from Atlas.
Yeah, pretty much.
I was like, oh, Simu Liu's in it. I'll watch it. Oh wait, never mind. It's not good.
I watched half of it and I
Oh
fell
really?
asleep. Yeah, I watched half of it. It was
Okay.
pretty it was pretty bad.
Crap. All right.
And you know what? I remember in a previous season, I think it was this season, a previous episode, you were talking about how you like movies in general with mechs. Keep the streak alive and do not watch Atlas.
Okay. Sounds good.
That's all I'll
Holy
say.
crap.
I don't know if I'll ever finish it. We'll see. Time will tell.
I mean, that's what I said about another Netflix original, Six Underground.
Oh yeah.
I saw 30 minutes of it, also turned it off.
Yeah, it was bad. I decided to just, you know what? Let me just get comfortable.
Yeah. Anyway, let's get. I think this is a perfect time. We're talking about some random stuff. We'll go into the dailies where we can talk about anything we want to in Hitman. Ken, I'll let you go first dibs. on some of this stuff in Hitman because there's quite a bit of stuff to talk about.
Yeah, yeah. I only have one thing up, so obviously you could take the lead after this part. But
Okay.
if we were giving out weekly reel awards and I was coming up with the outline for this episode, I would make sure to have best quote on here because just that interaction um with what was it Claudette and Phil as they were
Oh,
talking about Ron when when they thought they hung up after the conference call.
yeah. Okay.
I'll just
Wait. Did they
oh yeah.
think that they hung up, or did is it, or
I
did
think
they
they
do
he
that on purpose?
I think they literally missed the button because I think they zoomed in and they hit
Yeah. Yeah.
the volume button and I can't tell if the disconnect button was right next to it or something, but yeah.
Because my interpretation of that was like she did that as if like she kind of forced that conversation
Uh,
to get Gary to be fully on board with being the hitman instead of
uh,
Jasper. Like give him the confidence
Wait,
to do that.
this because this is the one after it didn't work out, right? After
Yeah.
the whole Madison interaction the first time.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. Like that's why
Mm.
at least that's how I interpreted it. It could be
Oh,
that they were just talking about Ron.
I
That would
think
be
they were just talking about Ron. That's how I
uh,
read it.
yeah, I need to go back and watch that little bit then because I interpreted that. Oh, she was giving him a confidence boost
Yeah, I mean, there
because that was
you
one hell of a confidence boost.
you could because you could be right. She could have but then you gotta think she would have to assume that Ron or sorry Glenn. Wait, no, yeah, Glenn,
Gary.
right? Gary. Oh my god, I blanked out for a second. Holy crap, Glenn Powell.
Glenn Powell's on the mind.
Yeah, but she would have to assume that Gary wouldn't hang up after that conference call.
Right. Yeah.
That's why I thought she just I read it as she disconnected and then said, "Oh, okay, we're disconnected. We could actually talk about Ron and or Gary and like how he's hot as Ron or whatever.
Yeah.
Ron is
Okay.
effing dope.
Yeah, but
He's
Gary
like a Caucasian Idris.
yeah, that was good.
Oh shoot, dude, Claudette had all the one-liners. She was like, "Yeah, I would get blackout drunk with Ron, and I would rip out my IUD for Ron." And I was like, I wonder if they actually read maybe like comment section on any of Glenn Powell's old like just random movies or just random comments about Glenn Powell in general.
I mean,
Uh,
there's those videos, I think what for BuzzFeed or whatever, like thirst tweets or something like that, where they
yeah,
make the celebrities read them. I wouldn't be surprised if they saved some of those.
yeah, I know, seriously. And then they just substituted Ron for Glenn. Oh no,
Exact.
Glenn for Ron.
Right. Right.
Yeah,
Ron
when
for
they're talking
Glenn.
about actual Glenn Powell, the actor,
Yes. Right.
for
Right.
Ron, the character.
Right.
But oh man, even Phil had some one-liners about the
Yeah,
whole
he had some crazy stuff, man.
night. I would take your sloppy seconds. I was like, bro.
It's like this is how is Gary listening to this?
No man, but yeah,
Oh shoot.
that was arguably my favorite part of the movie when they, especially the Caucasian Idris. I literally busted out laughing out loud.
That was such a good line. If you haven't seen her in Parks and Rec, which I don't know if you watched Parks and Rec before,
Oh,
she's
yeah.
good in that too.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, no, I enjoyed Claudette's character throughout the movie. She was good.
Uh, One thing I wanted to mention, was it just me or the entire movie before Madison kills what's his name?
Jasper,
Not
Ray,
Jasper, the Ray.
Ray.
Ray, yeah. Before she kills him, the entire time I thought the big reveal was gonna be like, oh, she has a different like alias. Did you feel that too?
I felt like that whole thing was an act so that she could somehow either frame Ron or like get away with it, just try to use
Right.
him as a like an accessory to murder or something like that. And
Yeah.
she's like this whole mastermind and everything. Because I had a brief like, oh what, and then I was like, oh never mind.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
After they got through the plot reveal and everything, the twists.
Yeah, because the entire I did not trust her the entire time.
Yeah,
I got like emotionally invested for Gary,
yeah,
right? Which
yeah.
that means they're doing a good job with the story.
Hmm.
But like at every turn, every time he would go back to her house or they would question like or the police department would question Gary like, "Oh, what are you doing with Madison?" It's like, "Oh shoot." I feel like she's just playing him. But
Hmm.
I guess that's the beauty of this type of stories. Like, keeps you on your toes,
There was also a point when I was thinking maybe Jasper and Madison were in on it too.
right? Well,
Yeah, I know. Because I was like, huh, it was kind of a coincidence that Jasper was at that takeout place, the fast food place. And then later on, when um, Gary opens the door as Ron and they were both sitting there, I was like, no way.
yeah.
It's a double cross.
I was
And I was
like,
like, oh,
what the
never
heck?
mind.
Yeah. Then he obviously asked for money and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. By the way,
Yeah.
I had to rewatch that um twice, that last scene. Because apparently, I don't know if you caught it, but I think the whole drugging happened before they got there. Because like the entire time where we join um Gary in that scene, what do you call that? Jasper never drinks anything. I don't know if you
Yeah.
caught it.
Yeah. I remember they had drinks there, and at the
Yeah,
beginning of the conversation, Gary, walked in, and then Jasper was like, "Oh yeah, grab a drink, whatever. We already started,
yeah,
or get me another drink, or something
yeah.
like that." So, um,
Because
yeah, she,
initially, because I wasn't really fully paying it. I was just obviously paying attention to the dialogue. I didn't know that. I for some reason thought that he took a drink of one of the new drinks that she brought
mm,
busted out, and when I was kind of getting a refresher a little bit, and I was like, wait, I don't think he drank anything. So it happened off screen.
yeah, that's crazy, dude. She literally murders two people, like. And see, that makes me question Gary a little bit in this movie version of Gary. Like, you gotta watch out, man. I like she might turn on you, because yeah, she kind of went full on killing these guys, eat like without even thinking about it, and in terms of not consulting Gary first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think he took what his ex-wife said about like relationships or whatever.
Oh yeah,
I forgot exactly what was said, but he basically just overlooked a lot of stuff by ending up with Madison.
yeah, yeah. That I mean, their chemistry though, off the charts. That was crazy. I was like, this is getting a little nuts in terms of this romance. But yeah, their chemistry at making Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney look like they're like friend zoned.
Whoa, that's
Right?
actually high praise. No,
R-
that's. I mean, I cannot disagree. I mean, they were both smoldering. Whew.
Yeah, because when they were in, I think that one club when they're just talking, I think, or
Yeah.
outside that one restaurant, and then they run into Ray right after. It's
Mhm.
like, dude, their chemistry, every line, you're just like, holding my breath. He's like, dang, these two are. It's like, how are they gonna survive each
Yeah.
other?
All pie is good pie.
Oh, such a good line. I
It's
love how
such a
they
good
end the
line.
movie with that too.
Yeah. Oh man.
Shoot,
But oh, by the way, there was another I forgot to mention when we were talking about lines. There was another
yeah.
one. Remember when they Gary was holding that class outside and then one of the students was like, when did our teacher get so hot? I'm like, it's Glenn Powell, man.
And, like, he just took off his glasses at that point and stopped wearing jorts.
It's the jorts.
It's the jorts.
But
Because
jorts are making a comeback now, man.
there you go. Freaking John Cena needs to bring him back.
I think so.
But like for me, the my like only my main nitpick in terms of Glenn Powell playing Gary is that even when they try to dress him up as like the nerdy teacher, he's still Glenn Powell, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, you
Yeah.
need a baggier T-shirt, man. Like I can still see your Glenn Powellness. Your.
Yeah.
This sounds wrong. I was gonna say I can still see your hangman.
Whoa.
You know what I mean?
Whoa. Whoa. Woo.
His
I'm glad I watched Top Gun Maverick, because if I didn't, I'd be like,
exactly.
whoa, bro.
It's like your Top Gun is showing. See, I don't know how else to phrase all this stuff. You got Top Gun, you got Hangman.
Hey, they don't call it an F-18 for nothing.
Shoot, man.
Oh, shoot. Oh my god.
But
You know,
that's what I'm saying.
if they probably could have made it where, I feel like white socks and then just like some random sandals like strapped in would have made him a little nerdier. And then maybe if he had, because his hair was too nice, even if they try to make it a little dorky looking,
Yeah.
they needed to have it so that he was wearing like a safari hat, or some more of a dorkier hat or something to
Yeah.
cover his
His facial his facial hair was too neat. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? If
Yeah.
it was like a little bit more like uneven or
and
whatever.
bushier, a little more unkempt.
Yeah. Like you gotta make him look a little like that professor that you don't want to sit in the first row for.
Ugh. Yeah, a little,
Right?
maybe a little smelly too.
Right? That's what I'm saying.
Maybe
Like,
maybe have some like
there
pit
we go.
stains.
That's what I'm saying. Some pit stains, maybe a little like mustard and ketchup on his shirt, or whatever.
Yeah, maybe from a little too good of a lunch.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
So make him, he's still too
too Glenn Powell esque.
exactly.
Oh,
It's like I don't know. It's like, or could we not buy that version when he transforms into Ron later? I think
yeah, the most unbelievable version was Gary.
yeah. I don't know, man. That Matthew McConaughey one. I'm just kidding.
Oh, shoot.
Let's go into. Well, actually, is there anything else you want to touch upon real quick?
No, it was just those quotes. I'm a sucker for quotes, and this one
Okay.
had some pretty good ones.
Well, I guess nitpick. I did like this movie, and I know we're going to talk about it a little bit more in the real review, but I don't know how I feel about the ending. I'm a little torn in terms of that. Because it's like our kind of likable characters do kind of unforgivable things, and it's like, oh dang, it's
Well, I mean,
it's a
I
Walter
mean,
White
Madison
situation.
did some unthinkful, so just killing her husband, and they I felt like it was earned only because they broke bad in terms of trying to deceive the police and in trying to have her have an alibi for everything.
Yeah,
And so I felt like the whole skit, by the way, that was well done.
Oh,
It reminded
dude,
me,
yeah.
it reminded me of a drawn out extended version of Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Evans from Winter Soldier.
Yeah,
And so I felt that's where they really broke bad.
yeah.
Or
But it's like did they really break bad? Because we also had dialogue and descriptions of Ray being like an abusive husband,
mhm.
or neglectful husband. You also got Jasper, who is accused, or not even accused. I think they got full on like
Yeah, I mean, he was
video
suspended
of
for an actual reason. Yeah,
yeah
they revealed that he
police
was doing
brutality.
some
pretty
shady
much.
stuff. Yeah, the two teenagers and then some other stuff that he was doing. He was a known racist. I mean,
Yeah.
I think they touched on it briefly with some dialogue. It's like, oh well, Jasper's not the best of characters anyway. The police are not going to really miss him. Is
Hmm.
essentially what they rationalized it with.
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. It's like, okay, um, I don't know why this.
But they killed two people though. That's
Yeah,
still
that's the thing.
murder.
They still killed two people. I was gonna say the angel and the demon, like on my shoulder, but I don't know. I thought of Daredevil and Punisher on my shoulder. Daredevil would say that's still murder. I'm a
Mm,
lawyer and I'm blind. But on the other side is Punisher. It's like screw them. They're dirty. They're
yeah,
like waste of human space. They deserve to die.
vigilante
So
man.
vigilant. That's what I'm saying. So in a way, they could be seen as a hero for getting rid of these bad people.
Yeah, like
Or
that, like the Dark Knight.
yeah, that
It all comes
yeah.
back to Glenn Powell, bro.
He's gonna end up playing the Riddler or something. No, I'm just kidding. No, they already did Riddler, but they
No,
not in James Gunn's universe.
stockbroker.
Yes, he's gonna come back as Bane, and then it's a whole nother cycle. He'll beat up Wall Street guy too.
Oh shoot.
But Ken, let's jump into the real review. I'm excited to know your I Love You 3000 score as well.
Yeah, I know. I feel like I've praised this movie too much. Maybe my real review probably a little consistent with what we've been talking about so far in this episode. So for my real review, straight to streaming movies are mostly forgettable. We should know. I mean, we've covered our fair share over the past 7 seasons. Hitman seemed different from the jump, though. And I don't know if we become blinded to Caucasian Idris, aka Glenn Powell, that it was bound to be at least decent. But when Jeremy put this movie on my radar during our last off season, it sounded at least entertaining. But then it happened. It was really the announcement that it was going straight to Netflix that actually tempered my expectations. So I don't know if it's because I had tempered those expectations or if I really did enjoy this movie's twists and turns. Um, for the plot to Richard Linklater's Hitman, but I legitimately enjoyed this movie. The chemistry that we talked about between Glenn Powell and Adria Arjona was as smoldering as Glenn Powell's on-screen chemistry with Sydney Sweeney in Anyone But You. Hitman had a little less silliness, obviously, and way more legit plot than Anyone But You. And I enjoyed that movie. But Hitman was definitely one of the more memorable straight to streaming releases that I can remember, joining the releases such as Glass Onion, A Knives Out Mystery, and the Extraction franchise, to name a few. So for me, I'm giving Hitman a similar score to what I gave Glass Onion, which was a 2550 out of 3000, which is an 85%.
Nice. I feel like we watched the same movie.
Oh no.
Here we go again.
We reached that part of the
Yeah,
episode, did we?
I think so because in I guess spoiler for those who haven't watched last week's episode, when we said that for Furiosa, we kind of tied again. So and apparently with everybody else too. So that was the first time we had a um
All four, right?
all four all
Guess the
across the board.
guessing the Rotten Tomato score.
Yeah, I guess like you, me, the audience score, and critic score,
All
all the same.
the same. Wow. I
That's
don't think that'll ever happen ever again.
well, I guess we'll see this week.
No way.
Because in my opinion, Hitman hits its mark for the most part. It gave dark humor and suspense to the story that I was like really looking for. Especially the suspense part. I did not expect that to happen to kind of be that elevated. Like what's gonna happen to Gary Johnson next? I actually also didn't expect such a steamy romance between the characters of Gary and Madison, but it really worked with the tone, especially when their chemistry is very deadly. The first two-thirds of the movie had me totally gripped and on board with these characters, but also the final 10 minutes of this movie is kind of where it loses me a little bit. I
Mm,
didn't hate the ending, but it could be a little controversial or divisive. Overall, I think it's a great movie with great vision and great writing from Richard Linklater and Glenn Powell, and Glenn Powell giving a much needed leading man performance to just twister his career to the next level. So I am giving Hitman a 2610 out of 3000, a 87%.
that's so
What
funny.
happened?
You that's so funny that you actually hated the last 10 minutes. I liked it, but you still gave a higher score.
I mean, like, I didn't give it a higher score. It's like I said, I'm still kind of contemplating. I
A
didn't
little bit.
hate the ending,
Yeah.
but it's just like, oh, that did
it
not
felt
go the way I wanted, I think.
it felt very happily ever after. Yes, I know.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. I think it felt too easy at the end. It almost felt like the opposite of, well, not opposite. It felt like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood,
Mm.
where everything kind of just goes crazy at the end,
Oh yeah. Oh
and
yeah.
then and then it just ends. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
okay, there it
Yeah, it
is.
was kind of a quick, sudden ending. And actually, if I'm honest, since we're on the topic of the end, I completely forgot that was Madison's daughter, right? From from her marriage, or was that? I don't even remember whose daughter is that supposed to be.
I think that's Gary's daughter.
Was that Gary's daughter? Shit, I don't
I
know.
think so.
I fr- I need to rewatch the movie. I mean,
Yeah.
I've only done the one watch. I only watched that one scene twice because I was like, wait a minute, I
Except
have to
that,
rewind the whole drinking scene. So
yeah, the scene with the phone, like, and them planning the skit, that was so good.
oh, I had to replay that too, just so I can get I can document the quotes. Man, that was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, man. All right, Ken, that we gave our scores. Now it's time to guess the Rotten Tomato score. I currently have 9 points. You have 8 points, so it's just a tick right there. So, Ken, what are you guessing for Hitman?
Ah, I wasn't sure honestly how to score this. Um, I figured maybe because I liked it. I don't know. I feel like this one. I'm going with my gut. I feel like I like this movie a little bit more than the critics, and so I just went a touch lower on my guess, 83%.
Okay. See, I have the same rationale too. I'm like my Glenn Powell,
Yeah,
my Glenn Powell
bias.
lenses are on, but I think like I've guessed my own score.
Oh,
I
you did
guessed 87.
87. Okay, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
Ballpark.
So here we go. Rotten Tomatoes is giving it a
Whoa!
97% on Rotten Tomatoes with 222 reviews.
Okay, I was wrong. That was
Well,
good. I don't know about
yeah.
97%.
Yeah, I was like, honestly, like, yeah, I thought I kind of lost that. I was like, oh shoot, I guessed too high. I was like, oh crap.
I thought I had it in the bag when he said 87.
That's what I'm
I was like,
saying. It's like, oh, well, 97%.
whew.
Yeah. So I guess updated score. We finally don't have a tie, Ken. Glenn Powell finally wanted to break the tie.
Yeah.
So I
Man.
have 10 points. You have 8 points. But there's
Hmm.
still plenty of season to go in season 7, aka the season of Glenn Powell.
Yes, and obviously we'll pick up the the season of Glenn shortly.
Exactly. Like maybe as soon as next week. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Dum dum dum. We're rewatching Top Gun
Yeah.
Maverick.
No, very different movie next week, that's for sure.
Yes. Well, for next week, we're covering a Pixar sequel, 9 years in the making. Many hold 2015's Inside Out in high regard. So for our next live stream, we will be covering Inside Out 2. And well, I mean, we're doing our live stream on June 12th. It's actually, I think, opening nights tomorrow. So
Hmm.
me and Jeremy still have to figure out when we're going to screen it. We'll figure that out offline. But if you want to join in on the conversation a week from today, which would be June 19th, definitely watch Inside Out 2 sometime this weekend.
Yeah, that's gonna be an interesting one. We've been watching all these not well, we guess we watched If, which is like a
If,
family
yeah,
friendly movie.
yeah.
Cause very much different from this movie. This movie got more steamy than a
Got real
sauna.
hot.
Yeah.
Like,
I
whoa.
was like, dang, what the heck is going on in here?
It
It's
was
like it was
basically like
weird.
Jasper at the end of the season when he had to take off the movie at the end
Yeah.
when he needed to take his jacket off. And I was like, huh, it's hot.
It's hot in here. Well, yeah, Inside Out. That's gonna be interesting. Hopefully it's good. I don't
I
think I've
hope
watched a
it's
Pixar movie in a while.
was the last one oh no, Lightyear? The
Possibly.
the I honestly I thought this was our first Pixar movie, and then I was like, wait, let me fact check that. And so I looked at the I guess most recent releases. I was like, oh yeah, we did cover Lightyear uh a few years ago.
Which I still think it's underrated. Maybe that's just my bias for Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I think it's just they've had so many classics that it
That's true.
yeah.
I get it.
And we'll talk more about that in next week's Soup du Jour too. Sneak
Yeah.
preview.
Yeah. So, but Ken, I know we started, it's a little bit later than usual, but
Mhm.
for those who are watching our live stream, and it's always nice to have you here. But just in case they want to know exactly when we're going live and all that stuff, where can they actually like kind of press stuff and go on the website and figure that all that out?
I mean, we're on this platform that you could take with you in your pocket in the form of YouTube. So, I mean, obviously, YouTube has their mobile apps. They've got iPad apps. You could go online to www.youtube.com. And all you need to do is just type in that search bar, the Weekly Reel Podcast, and then hit that subscribe button. But more importantly, don't forget to hit that notification bell so that you get notifications on when our next live stream will be. And again, just as a reminder, it'll be a week from today on June 19th as we talk about Inside Out 2.
Yes, exactly. Hit the notification bell because yeah, we might not be talking about Glenn Powell next week, but we
Which
sure
we
as hell
sure
gonna
will.
eventually later. Like don't worry, guys, he'll come back. It's not the end of Glenn Powell just yet for this season.
Oh yeah.
Um,
This is just part 2.
this is just part two. This is a trilogy. So if you want all the updates and all the reels, that's gonna be on Instagram at Weekly Reel. Check us out on Instagram. You can follow us on stories. You get even up to date stuff on like our stories there. Sometimes stuff happens. We need to throw out a real quick announcement that'll be on Instagram. Twitter. We also have TikTok, where you'll see all the edited versions of some of the stuff that we talk about, our real reviews. If you don't really want to see like spoilers, let's say you miss a week and you're deciding, oh, do I want to watch Hitman or next week or something like that? Go watch the TikToks because those are spoiler free like reviews on there, and then you can come back and listen to the rest of the episode. So, yeah, TikTok. Ken puts a lot of work into it, guys. So don't make him feel bad.
I won't take it personal though. But yeah, check it out.
All right. Well, Ken, how you feeling?
Well, I'm kind of hungry. I kind of want some soup.
I thought you were gonna say some pie.
Oh. Yeah, well, all pie is good pie.
There you go. Well, we'll see you next week on the reel. Oh wait, I forgot where the button is. Here it is.